Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. In today's video, we'll be focusing on a potent cold front bringing rounds of severe storms this week throughout the country. And then the long range pattern does tend to trend more active with more extreme heat building, and that leads to big storms across the north. We'll get into those details. And we're also watching the tropics with two new systems that could form in the eastern Pacific rather soon. We'll get into those details later on in today's video. But going over the overall weather pattern today and what we are seeing is across the south, we still have some of that summertime heat, but a potent cold front across the north will cut into the northern edge of some of that heat as we head throughout the day today and really over the next couple of days. Because look at the high temperatures today. You can clearly see where that cold front does reside with the upper 70s, even some 60s being shown for highs up into the Dakotas and northern Minnesota, back into western Nebraska today. Very nice fall-like air mass up in that region, but ahead of the cold front, that's where the heat and the instability will be for the storms. Temperatures back into the 90s, even cracking near the triple digit point down into the Wichita Falls region as we go throughout the afternoon today. And there's that cold front. It's moving into the Midwest and the western Ohio Valley this afternoon. It's going to be causing some more trouble in the form of severe weather. We have a slight risk from the Chicagoland area just outside of the Milwaukee region down through portions of St. Louis, getting into Little Rock today, and then westbound along the western periphery of that front into Oklahoma City, Tulsa, back into Amarillo, and then up toward the Denver region as we head into this afternoon. And the tornado risk is more maximized across the southwestern plains, across southeastern portions of Colorado, northeastern New Mexico, and into the Texas and Oklahoma panhandle, and maybe a little part there of far southwestern Kansas later on today. And really looking at the storm starting to build up this afternoon, we have a couple areas we're monitoring with a scattering of thunderstorms with a broken line of storms from Wisconsin down through the Illinois Valley here and into portions of northern Arkansas. And then the second area we're watching is back across the southwestern plains with more isolated supercells later this afternoon. But then this will start to gather more of a cluster of severe storms across Colorado into Kansas and portions of the Oklahoma and Texas panhandle as we go into this evening, into the overnight hours, as more instability starts to build up across these regions later on today. Then as we go into Thursday, that cold front will continue to slowly meander farther to the south and east. High pressure working in behind it, so lots of sunshine and cooler weather later this week across the northern plains and the upper Midwest. And that really does continue as we go into late this week on Friday as well, with that cold front not quite making it into Dixie Alley or into the southern plains too much here. The Red River will be influenced by this warm front, so still stay pretty warm down here. But looking at the high temperatures on Thursday, we have lots of upper 70s. This is rare to see into the second week here, getting closer to the second week in July across the upper Midwest and the northern plains, and even parts of the central plains like Kansas, Nebraska, parts of northern Oklahoma, upper 70s, low 80s. We'll take it this time of year, but ahead of that front, we're going to see more heat and instability with upper 80s to low 90s, even some mid 90s down here south of the Red River into central Texas as we go into Thursday. And that theme will continue. We're going to have a warm front kind of hanging around the southern plains, so that'll kind of trap all that warm air down here and build that up with upper 90s as we go into Friday afternoon. And that will also be the focal point for more storms later this week. So tomorrow, on Thursday, July 6th, a slight risk of severe weather will be down here across eastern Wyoming, western parts of South Dakota, getting into western Nebraska, Colorado, and much of Kansas, and some marginally severe storms maybe as far south as that boundary there into the Red River region, into Texas and Oklahoma on Thursday. And then the western side of this front, there's plenty of instability on Friday, so another chance for severe storms across the central and southern plains from the Denver region eastward here through through Dodge City, Kansas, the Kansas City region, down toward Joplin, Tulsa, those areas could be seeing some storms that could turn severe, at least marginally severe, as we go into Friday, July 7th. And overall, during that time frame, some heavy rainfall can be expected. This is your total rainfall accumulation from today all the way through the early part of this weekend on Saturday morning on the 8th of July. You can see the heaviest of the rains falling across the Central Plains into the Missouri Valley down here. So if you live into like the Wichita region, Topeka, Kansas City, getting into Springfield, Missouri, Tulsa, those areas, we're likely going to see some very heavy rainfall amounts over the next 48 to 72 hours, likely in excess of 2 inches across this region. And some areas could be up to 4 inches of rainfall here, really centered on southeastern Kansas and northeastern portions of Oklahoma going through that time frame. And that could cause some flash flooding concerns. I know it's dry out here, but we have a lot of rainfall in a short amount of time that definitely could lead to some flooding concerns. So there is a slight risk for flash flooding, at least a 15% chance of flash flooding across west central Kansas, getting into northwest Oklahoma on Thursday into Friday. And then that shifts a little bit further to the east into eastern portions of Kansas, western Missouri, northwest Arkansas, and northeastern Oklahoma Friday into Saturday time frame, with at least a 15% chance of flash flooding in this yellow outlined area as we go into the early portion of the weekend. Then going into later this weekend, the weather pattern still remains somewhat active. We have the northwesterly flow over the top of a building ridge down here out of northern Mexico, getting into the southern Four Corners region, into Arizona and New Mexico late this weekend. And look at that ridge start to build across the west and southwestern states, getting into the middle part of next week. This is Wednesday, July 12th, and you start to see the ridge axis become a little bit further northward into the Four Corners region, Southern California, into the Death Valley areas. It's going to be scorching hot as we get in toward the middle portion of next week. So walking you through those temperatures on Sunday, it's going to be hot down here across Texas, westbound there to New Mexico and Arizona, the Phoenix region up near 105 there, maybe pushing close to 100 in Dallas-Fort Worth by Sunday. And then as we go into early next week, the heat starts to build a little bit further to the north here, as that ridge axis becomes a little bit further to the north as we go into that Tuesday time frame on the 11th of July. But there's another cold front waiting in the wings, dropping out of Canada here. You can see where the 60s and 70s are up into North Dakota, northern Minnesota, and northern Wisconsin. And that's our next area of opportunity for storms into the upper Midwest, early to middle portion of next week into that Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday time frame, just depending on the timing of this cold front. And we have to be concerned for severe weather. Again, it's July, guys, so severe weather is possible. Dew points trending a little higher further to the north, especially with the corn crops becoming a little bit more mature up here. We have the dew points trending into the upper 60s and potentially up to as high as the middle 70s early next week, as far north as Iowa, getting into Nebraska here, South Dakota, southern Minnesota, Wisconsin, and parts of northern Illinois. And that is the area I'll be watching for some severe weather possible as we get into that Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday time frame. Again, depending on the timing of that cold front dropping in from Canada, will be the potential for some severe storms. And I will note that not everybody within this highlighted area will see severe weather. It will be scattered, but there could be some events we'll have to watch out for early to middle portion of next week. And then as that front moves further to the south, so will the instability will be building further to the south here. We got some rich moisture out of the Gulf of Mexico here. Dew points upper 70s, perhaps low 80s, centered on the Mississippi region and the lower Mississippi Valley late next week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday time frame. Again, just depending on the timing of this cold front, then that will shift the severe weather threat during that time frame further to the south across the Front Range, getting into the central and southern plains, and then down into the Dixie Alley region as we go towards later next week. And looking at the long range pattern, after that does occur, that ridge will attempt to move even further to the north as we go in towards the middle of July, and that will actually be helped by the tropics, something we're going to be talking about in just a moment. But underneath that ridge axis, we're not going to see a lot of rainfall, a lot of sinking air, lots of sunshine, and then you have the northwest flow over the top here with the rain showers and storms and occasional severe weather events across the northern plains, the Midwest, and the Ohio Valley as we get into the middle of July. And that's where the rainfall anomalies and precipitation anomalies are trending is further north along the northern and northeastern periphery of that ridge, with the green shaded colors favoring above average precipitation and the yellows and oranges favoring below average precipitation across the Rockies, the central and southern plains as we get towards the middle of July. So going to the tropical weather update, it is still A-OK across the Atlantic, the Caribbean, and the Gulf of Mexico. Nothing to worry about. No new tropical cyclones expected during the next 5 to 7 days. This is by the National Hurricane Center, but it's a different story across the Eastern Pacific. There's two areas of confidence where we start to see more development over the next several days. The first area of concern is a 70% chance of development over the next 7 days. And if this develops into a system, it would be named Calvin as it moves just again off the coast there of Mexico over the open waters of the Eastern Pacific Basin. And then the second system has a low chance, but I think these odds will be increasing in a big way with what I'm seeing in the models over the next couple of days. This is only a 20% for now, but don't be surprised if this gets increased to a 60, 70, 80% chance in the next few days with what I'm seeing, because there's a lot of warm water temperatures out here in the Eastern Pacific, and there's not much cool waters unless you get west here of the Baja of California. So it has a lot of legs with it going in towards next week. And looking at this here tomorrow, the lowering of the pressures underneath that big ridge over Mexico, and we start to see a little bit of a system trying to form tomorrow. It really starts to get its act together through the weekend, Saturday night into Sunday here. And then it starts to kind of weaken as it encounters those cooler waters. But what I'm watching is that second system moving over the Central Americas, the middle of next week, that could be a little stronger as it has more legs with it, more time over the waters that are warmer, and it has a lot of less shear. Well, you remember, hurricanes don't like wind shear. You have a lot of low shear environment or no shear. That is what hurricanes love. So we'll be watching the second system. This is the one that has a 20% chance of development. The European model is going all in on a tropical storm, if not a low-end hurricane. The GFS model is saying, nope, this is going to be a major hurricane moving into the Eastern Pacific. And then the EPS ensemble is showing the lowering of the pressures here. So there is some chance for a bigger system trying to develop into the Eastern Pacific Ocean as we go into the middle part of next week by Wednesday, July 12th. So we'll continue to monitor this over the next several days for you guys, but generally both of these systems are trending over the open waters and not over Mexico or the Baja at this time. So that is some good news there. If you like detailed weather breakdowns on North America, including southern Canada, the United States, and the tropics, be sure to hit the subscribe button down below. It's absolutely free to do, and you get daily weather updates on this channel. I appreciate all the new subscribers, all the old subscribers, and all the supporters on the channel. I do really, truly appreciate it. And if you do like this video, make sure to press the like button, the thumbs up button down below. It definitely helps out more than you guys know. I definitely appreciate all of the likes daily on my videos. And if you want additional weather forecast updates in addition to this video and this channel, follow me on Twitter at hweather420. It's in the description down below the video. I do update on that platform fairly frequently as well. Otherwise, again, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Like the video down below by pressing the thumbs up button. Leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. I'll get to those later on today. And I hope everybody has a great rest of your Wednesday.